Hey, welcome to the Create a Life That Is Beautiful podcast. I'm your host, Letitia Ringe, and this is the space to be for high vibe people looking to create a beautiful life and business. Let's do this. Welcome back to the podcast, my beautiful friends. I am Letitia Ringe, your host, and it's a pleasure, as always, to be here sharing this space with you all today. Now, if you're listening to this episode when it airs in December of 2020, I just want to give you all a reminder that if you're feeling overwhelmed, fatigued, burned out, or just creating space, please do yourself the favor of slowing down and creating space for yourself. I know that at this time of year, everything feels accelerated and it feels like everything has got to be done now or else. But just remember that time is an illusion. So if you need to take space, do yourself the gift of taking that space, even if it's just a pocket here and there throughout your day, or if it's an entire day or a few entire days. Just take the space for yourself. It will be of benefit to you and everyone around you. And I know that we always need these reminders. So there you go. All right, my beautiful friends, today on the podcast, we have another amazing special guest interview. Today, we're talking to Jasmine Lipska. Jasmine is a heart-centered life coach, YouTube content creator, the author of Manifest Like Bliss, and host of the Jasmine Lipska podcast. Jasmine is here to guide women to embody their worth and show up as their most confident selves in the world, to attract their desires abundantly into their life. With a combined online audience of over 380,000 people, Jasmine is passionate about sharing her life lessons and inspiring women to take action towards their dreams. I'm so excited for you all to meet Jasmine today, my beautiful friend. We connected because Jasmine was a listener to this podcast and she got in touch, and then I came into contact with her beautiful videos, and she has been such an expander for me. I've also had the pleasure of sharing a beautiful dinner with Jasmine back in Melbourne when I was there in 2019, and I had the pleasure of really experiencing her beautiful, abundant, and grateful energy. Today in this podcast, we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about the power of gratitude and of self-love, including self-love of the body. We're also going to be talking about Jasmine's top tips for YouTubers, how she allows herself to show up and be seen and to share her truth on the internet, and specifically on the platform of YouTube. There really is no better person to be having this conversation with, and I really love the way that in every single space that Jasmine shows up on, she is just oozing this gratitude and love for life, which is so magnetic. It's intoxicating. And I can tell you in person, it's exactly the same. She's so curious and thoughtful. And I just absolutely loved this conversation, and you will all today as well. We're also talking about Jasmine's top lessons and challenges and highlights along her business journey. We touch on perfectionism, burnout, money and shame, abundance, receiving, presence, the importance of being responsible completely for our lives and our businesses. We're also talking about acts of bravery. This episode is so incredibly inspiring, everyone. You're going to have so much fun diving in, and it's just happening at the perfect time of year, because here we are at the end of the year, and it just feels really both celebratory and reflective at the same time, which, as you all know, is an energy that I love to embody at this time of year and really just always in my life. So I'm super excited though for you all to really experience this energy of gratitude that Jasmine emanates. And the reason for that is, we've got to be grateful for the lives that we have. This is a message I really want to get across to every single person I come in contact with. We all have so much to celebrate right now where we are today in our lives and in our businesses. We have so much to celebrate about the people that we are, and to celebrate and be grateful for, and to see in each other. And when we do that, it creates more abundance for all of us. So everybody, enjoy this beautiful, inspiring conversation. And without further ado, let's dive on in. Hey, Jasmine, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much, Letitia. Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm so excited to have you here as well. It's been a long time coming. I've been waiting for this conversation for literally years.
Yes, it has. Yeah, I remember it was about 2 years ago, I think, when I listened to your podcast and I reached out to you and then we connected. So, yeah, it has been a while, but I'm very excited to be here.
I know, the perfect
Yeah.
time. And I just
Yeah.
feel like perfect time of year as well to have a beautiful conversation, to really like be in that energy of reflection and also excitement for the next chapter and season of our lives and businesses ahead.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, December, the New Year's approaching already. Yeah, I love to reflect during this time of year as well.
Me too. So,
Mhm.
Jasmine, to get us started, could you let our beautiful listeners know a little bit about who you are and who you serve in the world today?
Oh, beautiful question. So I'm Jasmine and I am a content creator and also a women's life coach. I'm also a purpose and self-love coach. So I work with women who struggle with self-love, struggle to accept their bodies, to feel confident in themselves, and I help them be the most radiant version of themselves by tapping back into their femininity, also to balance with their masculine, to feel confident fully in their bodies and in who they are. That is one of my missions here. So, yeah, that's what I do.
I love that. And I love the word radiate. It's one of my favorite words. And
Yeah.
something that I've been hearing a lot lately, like, well, I'm picking it up in every conversation where I hear it because it's just so activating for me. What does radiate mean to you?
Oh, great question too. It is one of my mottos, radiate love, choose kindness. To me, radiate means shining your light. We all have this light, like space to take up in the world, and it's that embracing who you are, everything that you are, how you've been created to be, your expression, self-expression, and just putting it out there in the world. That I think is what radiate means to me.
Oh, I love that. And it's so cool because actually I asked an inner voice about this recently, one of my clients' inner voices, and her answer was about sharing and shining your light and your energy. So that's so similar to what you've said. It's so beautiful. I love how we're, even though we use language and might have slightly different meanings behind it, they're usually very similar. And it's so beautiful that we can be connected in this way, because I always feel like, you know, it goes beyond words, the way that we want to feel. And so it's really interesting to ask like what it actually means to us in a, like, using language. So really, really beautiful to know a little bit about how you got to doing this work in the world. How did you end up here? I know it's been a journey with lots of different chapters, but I'd love to know whatever comes through for you today, that you'd love to share about your story getting here.
Sure. So I first uploaded a video to YouTube after I graduated from high school, and it kind of so that was my first step into kind of the entrepreneurial world, to freedom, where I just always knew that I valued freedom. I didn't want to work an office job. I just wanted to be creative, free, use my talents and help people, specifically women. I always resonated with women. So I made a video, uploaded it, it went a bit viral, and my community started to grow on YouTube. So that's where it really started. And then throughout my YouTube journey, I started creating language videos at first, and then I transitioned to more self-growth, self-development, self-love, and then a bunch of travel vlogs. I went solo traveling to discover myself more. And along my 3-year YouTube journey, something I always felt drawn to, no matter what video I created, was related to self-love, just always talking about it and helping women to feel confident in their bodies, to spread self-love, always drawn to that. And I think because I went on this journey of self-discovery, to solo travel, tried many new things, then the space to receive the idea of becoming a life coach entered into me. That's when I received the idea. I never knew it was even possible to become a life coach a few years earlier. So this was in mid 2019 when the idea came, and I was like, yeah, this sounds really good, very aligned. But I also had some things holding me back, like, I'm so young. Is anyone going to trust me? Like, who am I to be a life coach at this age? But I just decided to trust and to embody what I teach, essentially, be the talking version of what I teach, right? To be confident in you, to take action on your dreams. So I took the Beautiful You life coaching course, the academy, graduated early this year or mid this year, and then I just started working with women one-on-one in group settings, and my business has just really taken off. And I've seen that as a sign that, when you are living your dharma, your purpose, the universe or God always provides for you. And of course, there's hard work. At first, I worked hard a lot to get to where I am. But when you just embody and live your truth, live your dharma, live what feels in alignment with you, you're always provided for. So I've worked with a lot of women already so far this year, and just continue to express myself however I like. So creatively, through videos, podcasts, Instagram content, and yeah, that's kind of how I got to where I am today.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And we're so aligned with our perspective on purpose and, just really being you, being ourselves. And I love that you mentioned how the universe just supports you. And it's so true. Opportunities just flow your way, and it opens something up within us, which allows us to receive all of these beautiful opportunities. And so it's so cool that you started off just after high school with a video on YouTube. Through our conversations before, I've just always been so amazed by that. And so had you ever recorded a video before, or was that the first one that you'd done? What led you to being a video, and I'm going to do a video? What was that moment like for you?
Yeah, that's also another lovely question. It was just intuition, something guiding me. Just like the year before, my dad had bought me a new camera for Christmas, because I actually started off with food blogging. It was very different to what I do. But in high school, I'd wake up half an hour early just to take a pretty picture of my food for Instagram. So I started there. That was where my content part of me started, my creativity. But I had this great camera, and one day I was just before uni started, so I dropped out of uni 6 months later, but just before uni started, I was at home. It was summer in Australia, I had not much to do. I saw the camera, and suddenly just this idea was hey, let's just share to the world how many the languages I've learned, and hopefully it can inspire people to learn more languages. And so I was very passionate about that. That was purely how it happened.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So it was intuition, and you also trusted it to take the inspired action as well. And then that led to this whole chain of events happening. Yes. Super cool. And then in your story, it's the same thing. I imagine when you decided to go on solo travel, which is something that feels scary, I imagine, was that also something that you just felt inspired to do? Was it an intuitive hit as well?
Absolutely, yeah. It was the start of January last year, so 2019. And one day I just suddenly thought, Jasmine, why don't you just buy a one-way ticket to go travel? You make money online, you can just go do that. And I was thinking oh my God, this is a bit of a risk. Oh my goodness, I've never done this, solo traveling, bought one-way ticket. But I was I just have to trust in it. So then 2 months later, I went on my trip, and it was exactly what my soul needed. I just learned so many lessons, especially related to relationships. And I just also know that whole solo travel experience was about 4.5 months. It prepared me for my soulmate to come into my life, and also to just heal the relationships part of me. I thought I had to be all alone, do everything alone, not be emotionally close with anyone. I prided myself on not having emotional closeness, but I just learned so many lessons related to that. Grew more, self-discovery. So solo traveling can be a beautiful thing, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate what you're talking about there with emotional closeness, because that's definitely something that I've experienced as well, really
priding myself on my independence and wanting to do everything on my own, and then therefore sort of like pushing people away so that I can do that. And for me, it came from a place of sort of, I guess, not wanting to be disappointed by other people, but then also trying to sort of prove myself and my worth. And there were lots of things involved. And I see that a lot with the women that I work with too. And I really think that's been a message we've sort of been conditioned with in like our generations, that, you know, because you've got these opportunities, you've got to be independent, you know, do everything yourself. And yeah, there's consequences because of that affects our relationships for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the greatest lessons I also learned was happiness is more vibrant, like more real when you can share it with someone. So I learned that on my solo travels, because I was alone most of the time for 4.5 months, and it kind of spiraled into a bit of a depression. So that was a lesson I really learned. It's okay to want alone time, of course, and to have independence, but also it's not a weakness to seek help, support, to be close with people, to want to depend on someone. I guess not a weakness. And yeah, that was many lessons I learned. True.
Yes. And then again on your journey, then the next inspired hit that you trusted was that call to life coaching as well. And then that opened up a whole new chain of events as well that have been really abundant and supportive for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one of the best decisions I made. I think it just felt so in alignment. And I think also, like with my clients as well, they're often held back because of fear of judgment, fear of what their family will think, or like, what if it doesn't work out, failure. But you've just got to go, give it a go, because the universe rewards bravery, that's for sure. Even if things don't work out how you want it to work out, it's always going to work out according to the universe's plans, and you're always loved, always supported, and that's what I love to teach. So yeah, it was just a leap of faith, and I'm grateful I trusted in that.
Oh, yes, I love that. The universe does reward bravery. And it's so funny, sometimes when I look back on, even, I don't know if this is the case for you, but I'll often look back on my journey of like when I started my business and some of the things that I've done, and I think, wow, I was so brave to do that. And like even with hindsight, like I still do things that are brave now, but when I think of those first initial steps that I took, I just think, oh my gosh, I'm so grateful to my past self for taking those leaps and taking those risks, because like everything always works out. It's always going to be fine and okay, but they feel very significant at the time, and it's a really big thing. But yeah, I'm just always like, thank you, past self, for everything you've done to bring me here.
Yeah, I get that too. But I'd love to know what would you say is one of the bravest things that you've done in terms of, let's say, like your career and business?
For me, it was just quitting my job and starting a business without having any income or even having started my job. And it seemed completely ridiculous to anyone that I spoke to, but I just knew that I was meant to be in business, and I was meant to support people with personal development and purpose and creating a life that they want. And I thought, I want to create this life that I want, and this is what I want. And although I'm not going to have any income, it was like the first time in my life I didn't have income coming in. I just knew that it would work out and be okay. And that was the reason I think it was super brave, is because I'm such a people pleaser, and I know that you can relate to that. And so I had like my partner there who I was impacting his life, and then I would think about, you know, his family, and I'd feel really guilty. Like, am I ruining his financial future? Am I ruining the life that he has, that he wants to create for himself? And I just felt so much immense guilt about that. But I still moved forward because the vision that I had was just so powerful and so strong, and I just knew that I had to move forward. And so when I look back and reflect on all of that, and I still feel that guilt at various other times in my life, and sometimes it gets the better of me with smaller decisions, and I think, I can't believe that I took that leap, but I'm so glad that I did. So yeah, that's my thing. That's my bravery.
Yeah, that's super brave. Yeah. Wow.
What would you say is yours?
I would say, one of them would be kind of similar when I dropped out of university to pursue content creating and I guess, my business side of things. So, yeah, they're kind of similar, but just uni.
Yes. Well, yeah, I would say leaving my legal career behind was also a very brave thing to do, that everybody was being like, why would you do that? But I'm so glad I did. And I've never I've never been like, I wish that I didn't leave it behind. It was the best thing ever. Is that how you feel in uni?
Oh, absolutely. I just had enough of sitting in the classroom. Like, there's nothing wrong with uni, of course, but me personally, it was just not for me. So,
Yeah, fair enough. So, Jasmine, I'd love to know about self-love and gratitude, because I know that these are two themes that you've been really speaking about right from the beginning. And I'd really love to know a little bit about both of them, self-love and gratitude. Like, did the gratitude come after the self-love, or was it before? And how have both of these things really changed the way you show up in your life and also in your business?
Yeah, I would say it kind of, when I started being more grateful, I also started to love myself more. So it kind of like intertwined, but kind of at the same time. It was all when I just started to become more aware that I am the creator of my life. I can't blame, no one can save me, only I'm in control of my life. I'm the creator. And this was, I think, the end of 2017 when I really started to get into that. And the more I've practiced gratitude and self-love practices, like essentially coming to accept myself, it just shifted every single area of my life for the better. I healed from my eating disorders, so like anorexia, because I went from living more from my ego to more from love. Of course, like, I'm not perfect and no one is, and sometimes that ego still comes up, but it's really like my life has just shifted so much since I became more conscious of self-love practices and gratitude, and just living a more abundant life. So in terms of business, like, my income has grown because of gratitude and self-love, by taking care of myself, accepting myself. I've allowed myself to receive more, be open to receiving and not feel guilty, like to increase my self-worth. And this has attracted more abundance, happiness, great relationships into my life. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you mentioned receiving there. That's a really big thing. And especially for us, like, and independent women, it can be hard to allow ourselves to receive, because we also don't want to like take anything from anyone else. We want to do it all ourselves. What has really helped you to open up to receiving? And I know gratitude and self-love is part of it, but is there anything else that's really helped you to feel safe to open up and receive?
Yeah, I love you mentioned the word safe, because that just brought back a memory into me where it was affirmations. So I know everyone has a different view on affirmations. For some people it works, for some people not as much. For me, I'm an affirmations person, like big time. It really works for me. So it really started off by being more conscious of like, what are my beliefs around receiving? And I realized most of the time I thought it wasn't safe for me to receive, that I feel like a burden, feel guilty, but I had to start shifting all this self-talk and the beliefs, and it started with affirmations. So saying things like, it is safe for me to be a wealthy woman, it is safe for me to receive, it is safe for me to have more than enough. And that word safe was a big one, because, like I said, I didn't feel safe before. So affirmations, and looking at other women for inspiration. So you, for example, were an expander to me, and looking for expanders to see, okay, well, if she feels worthy, she receives, I can too, and just being inspired by other women.
Oh, I love that. And thank you so much. And you're an expander for me as well. And it's so beautiful that we get to be that for each other, isn't it?
Yeah.
And like, I have found this year, because my business has been growing and growing and growing more than like what my mind was really ready and prepared to allow for myself. And so I've actually found the same thing, that it's really been a safety thing for me. I've felt like I've had this story that if I allow more people into my community, or even if I work with more people, then in some way I'm not going to be safe. And so the way that I've been opening up is really practicing energetically holding that space while using affirmations that it's safe for me to receive, it's safe for me to open up, it's safe for me to allow. And like by doing that, it doesn't take anything away from my alignment, my sovereignty. Like I don't need to prove myself and give too much. I just get to be me and receive at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a key part of it for sure. The energetically just feeling, worthy and holding space for the good things to come. I do remember I listened to this audiobook by Louise Hay called Receiving Prosperity. I think that's the title. It's on Audible, and that was a game changer for me as well. So your audience might like that too.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'll definitely check that out because I haven't read it before. Okay. That's so good. And you also mentioned what I took from what you were talking about earlier about gratitude and self-love along your journey. So being grateful for where you are right now and all of the things you have allows you to allow more and receive more. Is that what, like, do you take time to really be grateful for where you are right now?
Yeah, for sure. I think that really is key because otherwise I just feel like you kind of miss out on, like, right now your life if you are always aiming for the next thing or next thing. So being grateful for what you have now allows, and you just tap into the energy, the vibration of gratitude, which then attracts more, but you're not missing out on life. You're still living here and now. And I just think as humans, like for some people living in, my brain is more Vata state in terms of Ayurveda. I'm like in the clouds a bit, thinking about the next thing. And sometimes I catch myself like living for the next moment rather than here. So gratitude has brought more grounding into my life too.
Oh, that's such a beautiful way to explain it. That's so good. And also I find, it's beautiful when we have dreams and we have visions and we have, like, we can see where we want to go. But like you say, it takes us out of the present moment. And in order to go to where we want to go, or at least in the quickest, most easeful, beautiful way possible, it's really about enjoying where we are right now and remembering, like, that where we are right now was once upon a dream that we had as well. Isn't that amazing to think about?
Yeah, I was just thinking that the other week, like literally that exact same thought.
Yeah, it's so incredible. And it's definitely a practice to stop and just be really grateful for where you are, that we have to train ourselves to do, because our mind wants to be in the past or the future, of course.
Yeah. That is more the ego. Like the ego loves the past, the future, living in the head. But when you come to the present, like practices to bring you right here, it kind of dissolves the ego a bit, and you're just more present. And something I also learned, I guess, on my journey is, like, life isn't a destination. There is no destination. It's made up of now. The future is still being made for right now. So that also helped bring me to the present. That, like, be grateful now and happy now. Embrace the happiness now, because it's not that we'll be happy when we get somewhere. If we don't feel happy now, we're not going to be happy then. But we often think, when I have this, then I'll be happy. But it doesn't really work that way. Got to appreciate what you have right now to then also appreciate what you have in the future. So,
yes, and then what you appreciates as well.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that really helps you with presence?
Yes. Well, aside from meditation, something that helps me is dancing. I've been dancing a bit more recently, and you get into your body and you just feel so present. I think that's one of my favorite practices.
Oh, that's so cool. Yes, I love dancing. And with one of the modalities that I'm using at the moment is inner voice facilitation. And so I'm communicating with a lot of people's inner voices, and they always say dance, 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 dance. Yeah. And they say things like sing and play. Like, but dance is such a common one that they're always saying, do more of that, do more of the dancing. So that's really cool.
Yeah, it just brings you right here into your body, and it activates like the feminine frequency as well. Because things like meditation, yoga are more on the masculine energy, which is cool as well, as long as you balance it. But dancing like activates that root chakra, feminine frequency, and it just feels really great.
I love that. Do you do any singing as well?
Not publicly, like in the shower, I'll sing. Yeah, I do sing in the shower, and it feels great. So,
yeah, it does feel good singing. Yeah, I love having a good big sing. So much fun.
Yeah.
Is there anything with self-love? Because I know you spoke about with body and really supporting yourself to love your body. Is there anything that really stands out to you as being something that really helps you with the self-love of your body?
Yes. So this, I personally don't feel like it's talked about a lot. The two main practices helped with me accepting my body, because I was experiencing body dysmorphia. But coming to a place now where I love and accept my body, one thing is doing like a body massage. And how I do this is like either in the shower or after the shower when you're in the bathroom, getting some nice moisturizer or oil and kind of massaging your body after you dry yourself. And while you massage yourself, including areas like your breasts or your stomach, wherever you feel more vulnerable, and massage yourself and say like, I love you, I love you, I love you, and appreciating that this body is keeping me alive. It's unique, and that has really, really helped me. So body massage. And the other thing is actually like sleeping with no clothes on, like naked, because we are most vulnerable when we are naked. But it's a good thing because we come to just accept ourselves more. Because maybe, I know for some women, they will wear clothes to hide their bodies because they don't like a certain part of it. But when you are naked, you're closest to nature, and it's empowering, and it allows you to feel more empowered. So yeah, I haven't heard about it much, but those are two things I started to do and really allowed me to love and accept my body more.
Yeah, and I guess also from like a presence point of view with the body massage, doing the massage helps you be present with your body and like discover it as well. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's beautiful. I sometimes do this, what's it called, like an Ayurvedic self-massage, and that's really, really beautiful when I do it. But I'd love to try it now and combine it with the affirmations and the, the beautiful I love you as I go through it. Yeah, that sounds so good. So good. And the body, I just feel like it, it's like any, like the studies that have been done where they speak to water and they say like, I love you, or they say, mean things, and then the water structure changes. Yeah. It's, the same with our bodies.
For sure. Absolutely.
Beautiful. So, Jasmine, I'd love to talk about in terms of your journey with YouTube, because I know so many of our listeners will be so thrilled to hear any tips that you have when it comes to particularly just having the confidence to get on YouTube and share like yourself, to have other people see you and to be on a platform that feels really quite busy. What really helps you to feel empowered to be on the YouTube platform?
Oh, great one. I would say, so what I always have on top of my mind when I am thinking about creating for YouTube is, let me serve no matter what. So just let me serve. And this helps me to like stop caring so much about how I look on the camera and like if people will judge me or not, because actually what matters is who I'm serving. Like, even if it's a one life I can make an impact to in a positive way, that's what matters. Not how I look, not all these like things that come from ego, but just that. And that really helps me to show up as my authentic self and keep going. That motivates me, just knowing who I can serve, who's watching it on the other side. And also, I think overcoming that fear of judgment has been a big one, because you are putting yourself out there. You don't know who's going to watch it. It's YouTube. It's one of the biggest platforms in the world. Your video might go viral. You might have heaps of comments, but I think just growing a thicker skin around comments and not taking it personally has been a big one to just keep showing up. Yeah.
I love that. Focusing on who you're serving. And that's the thing, like it only takes one person to see your video and it has an impact on someone, and that's super significant. So what I'm hearing from you is just allowing yourself to focus on someone else to get out of the mind and the ego, which is focusing on ourselves, and that's where all of the drama comes from.
Yeah, definitely. Focusing on how you can give, how you can serve, and that always takes you out of your mind, I've found. So.
Yes, absolutely. And then when it comes to like comments and dealing with all of that, what else helps you to not let comments stop you from, what you want to create? And especially because you do talk about topics that I know that some people will have certain opinions and other people will have others, and that's just how the world is. We all have so many different opinions. Is there anything else that really helps you with managing comments?
Yeah, the serving, who you're serving is the big one, I would say. Just like not taking it personally, remembering that, okay, this doesn't matter as long as I'm serving. And what else? Overcoming fear of judgment and comments. I would say, I think my mindset has just been like, I just can't let that stand in the way of living my purpose, or else I'm denying myself of happiness, of expressing myself, and life's just too precious to let one person, one comment stop you from living your whole life that you want to live. I just think shifting to that mindset, yeah.
That is so good, Jasmine. Life is too precious. I have to write this down. Life is too precious. It's so true to let one person, oh my gosh, because it's amazing how our minds do that. We could have, 50 amazing comments and feedback that are all so supportive, and then one negative thing, and our mind just goes immediately to that to justify all the reasons why we shouldn't.
Yeah, for sure. It does that. And I think by doing practices to increase your self-esteem and self-worth, you're likely to less and less over time focus on that one negative comment. Because just being very honest here, like one of my self-sabotage patterns is if I'm feeling a bit low about myself, if I haven't been keeping my mindset in the best shape and doing things to keep up my self-worth, self-esteem, I will literally go, I've done this before, look in my comment section, look for the bad ones. And that is such a self-sabotage pattern. But I realized it came from just not feeling good enough, low self-esteem. So keeping up practices that improve the self-esteem and worthiness, that is going to help a lot to deal with the fear of judgments and comments.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, I find one of my self-sabotage habits is if I'm feeling like a bit down or whatever, that's when I'll go to Instagram to scroll, and always I'll see something that will trigger me because I've gone there with that energy to be triggered. And then I'm like, what am I doing? Get off. Come in when you're in a good energy and use it in a positive way, not in a negative way.
Yeah. I love you mentioned that. It's all about the energy you bring to it and you approach the video with as well. And I think something that just came to me was also something I like to do similar to what we did before recording this podcast, is set an intention. So before I film a video too, I'll just do a little meditation and set an intention that whoever needs to watch this video, it'll reach them and for the highest good of all. And when I approach it from this energy, the comments, or if there are any negative comments, it doesn't bother me much because it was the intention behind it that.
I love that. Yes, it's so good. Just being intentional about everything we do and create really amplifies whatever that intention is, rather than just sort of randomly sending it out there.
Yeah.
Thank you. So Jasmine, I also wanted to ask at the start, or when you started on YouTube and like in the early days, did you also have this same sort of mindset around showing up and just focusing on the person that you're speaking to and serving? Or and were you worried about appearance and that sort of thing? Was that something that sort of happened in the beginning, or is it something you learned over time through doing the videos?
Yeah, I learned that over time. I think in the beginning, I still had the intention always to serve, to share my lessons and all of that. But I still people pleased. I made like content that was like, I didn't really express my truth very much because I was afraid that it might trigger people, I'll get hate and all this. So I definitely shifted over time in terms of that. And so at the start, yeah, I was afraid to just express my full self. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, because it just shows how we develop along our journeys. The more that we do things, the more we learn to be more intentional and learn where we are self-sabotaging and how we can use these outlets for creativity in a more positive and also just supportive way of ourselves as well.
Yeah, for sure. Everything, well, to, I guess, learn, you've got to experience the things first. And so the more you create videos, the easier it'll get, the more you do it, like to post on YouTube, to be more confident. It just develops through practice.
Yeah. Do you ever create a video and then be like, I hate this, I'm not going to share it?
Oh, no, that hasn't happened before.
Yeah, you share them. You always share.
Yeah. Because I think the intention, because otherwise I know that's my perfectionism coming out. Like, oh, this video wasn't good enough. But perfectionism can kill dreams. Like, that's a phrase I've seen somewhere before. So yeah, that's how I've gotten over my perfectionism as well. Just focusing on let me serve no matter what. It's good enough, and just putting it out there.
I love that, because that's why I like live videos, because I just get on there and I do it. But if I'm recording like a training for one of my courses, or I'm recording a video or whatever, I try to be like, no, we're just going to do a one take only and do it. But sometimes, especially if I'm in my inner autumn, I will be really judgmental of myself, and then I'll start a couple of times and be like, no. And then I like to do things in like a full flow, so I don't like to stop and then start. And yeah, it's just my inner critic coming in.
Yeah, I understand that.
Yeah, making it not fun because it's just judging. Yeah. Beautiful. So is there anything that stands out along your business journey so far that has been a top highlight for you?
Top highlight of my business journey so far. I guess there are two things that stand out, or maybe three, but I guess three main things. So one was, I guess, reaching that 100,000 subscriber mark, even though like it is numbers based, but that was a big achievement. That was like within a year of starting YouTube, and it felt great. It was just an achievement. So because you get the little plaque from YouTube as well, which is really cute. So there's that thing. And then another thing was this year. This year has definitely been a year where I've really learned more business skills and like created a like business. Before I was just kind of floating around, but this has been the year. And this year I opened up my first ever program. It was called the Blissful Program, and it filled out the first time. So that was something I also really stood out to me, because I didn't expect that, but that was a great feeling. And the other one was my first 10K month. And I mentioned this stands out to me because I think money isn't really talked about much. It's kind of taboo, but it's not, like, it's just normal to talk about it. And for me, for so long, I felt guilty if I earned more than my parents, because I know when they were my age, they were working so hard and like so different to me. So I felt guilty, and I held so much guilt around receiving as well. We talked about that. So actually allowing myself, like really shifting my energy and becoming an energetic match to that, seeing the 10K in my bank was really stood out, and it was just more growth. Like rather than just focusing on how much money, it was like, wow, I've grown. Like I'm making big changes. I'm living more my dream life, and that was a great feeling. So yeah.
I love that, and congratulations on all three of those. They are significant and really important to celebrate. How do you celebrate yourself?
Oh, I love myself a bit of like self-care, or like getting a massage, because here in Bali there's plenty of massages, or just I think an experience, something that makes me feel great. I think I like to celebrate that.
Yeah, I love doing the massages as well, going to the spa, doing something that just feels super relaxing and luxurious. I'm a big fan as well.
Yes.
So cool. There was a question I wanted to ask you about the money. So I'm so glad that you also brought that up, about we don't speak about money enough. And yeah, this year I've really been pushing through my own resistance as well about talking about money, and really inspiring people with what's possible with, creating a 6-figure business and beyond that, and talking more about what I'm earning. And you're right, it is uncomfortable. And I think particularly we have to remember that as women, we have not been able to be business owners for very long, or even to own and manage our own money, not long at all. So this is really a first time for a lot of us, and that's why I think it does feel unnatural, and there is that guilt there because of that, because it is new. So we're really like setting the stage and the future for the generations to come, which is really, really cool to think about. So yeah, I've been doing the same thing, just really pushing through that, talking about money and reframing the way I look at it. So it's something that, hey, this is inspiring. If I can do this, you can too. And let's talk more about it, so that we have this expansion rather than this shame, I guess. Shame's probably a good word for it.
Yeah. Shame comes up a lot. I talked about it recently as well, the topic of shame, because I've seen it a bit more prevalent than ever on social media. And I think, that kind of is a bit of a resistance I've found to women to create a successful business and to charge more, because they might feel like they might be shamed if they earn more money or earn more than their husband, their partner, like being the breadwinner. Like there's just a lot of shame around that. But releasing that is really important. Like I've done things like breath work, which has been very healing, to release suppressed emotions, to allow myself to receive. And like you, I've really shifted a lot of my beliefs around money this year, and I continue to. There's always like something to uncover, isn't there? But it's an important topic, I think, money.
Definitely. Yes, breath work is so amazing for shifting those emotions and really just allowing yourself to energetically up level. I've tried lots of different methods, and I find it so amazing as well. And in inner voice facilitation, we also do this thing where we release emotions as well, and that is also through the breath or through movement or through however your body wants to release it. And it's so incredible because a lot of it is just emotional. It is just these, like the shame, that pattern we have between the stories, but it's actually like we're so used to feeling ashamed. So it's like the mind is just looking for, what other stories and beliefs do I have that can support this feeling of shame? And that was something I really uncovered about myself in January of this year. I realized my body is so used to feeling ashamed that actually it's just collecting all of this supporting evidence to keep me in shame. And it was incredible when I had that realization, because I was like, oh my gosh, wow, like I'm actually like actively seeking out how to feel ashamed rather than allowing myself to experience something else.
Wow. Yeah, that's so big. That is like a great realization for sure, because like we tend to seek out evidence of our beliefs, right? Like our brain does that. I've also uncovered this year that like sometimes the shame we hold as women, it runs through our ancestors, and like what we feel sometimes isn't even ours. It's just like in, what do you call it, like in our DNA to feel ashamed, because for centuries, like we've lived in a patriarchal society, women were shamed for like wanting to be independent or whatnot to earn money. And so maybe through your ancestors for many generations, the women in your like ancestry felt ashamed, and then it just kind of passed on through the DNA, that now like we're here to heal this part and change the future of our generations, which is a beautiful thing, I think, doing this inner work. But yeah, I just realized sometimes this shame isn't even ours. We just feel it because it's run literally through our DNA.
Yes, that is so true. And also what I've learned about that is, and thank you for bringing this up, it's so important, is when we show up and heal that story for ourselves, it also heals the generations that have already, like our ancestors too, which I think is such a beautiful like thing to remind ourselves, because time is just a human construct. It actually is all existing now. So what we do here is also healing that story for in the family line to come and the ones that have already been before us.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So beautiful. So we've heard about highlights. I'd love to talk about top lessons or challenges along the business journey. What are like one or a couple? What comes to mind for you?
I think a big one, which many may be able to relate to, maybe even yourself, is burnout, where I was trying to wear all the hats in my business, do everything myself, because I had that belief that I have to do everything alone, which led to burnout a lot of times. It's actually still something I'm working through, but it's gotten better. But now I've learned to like take breaks. Don't overwork myself until I take a break. Take a break before you get burnt out. So there's that. I guess the challenge then was to learn that it's okay to take a rest. You don't have to hustle all the time. There's this hustle culture, which I don't really agree with. Like, yeah, like hard work is necessary, but you don't have to hustle 24/7. So that was a big lesson I learned. And another challenge has been not taking the criticism or judgments from others personally. Again, we touched on that earlier, but yeah, it was a challenge because I'm quite like sensitive, and I don't like to label myself completely like that, but I just absorb the energy, used to take things in personally. So just not, letting that stop me from still pursuing my dreams, and choosing the career I want. That was something I overcame. So, those are the two that come to mind.
Okay, beautiful. I love both of those, and I just think that as you've mentioned a couple of times, that fear of judgment is just so, and the people pleasing, and look, I've just thought of something as we're talking about this. So I really feel like this is what 2020 is all about, because we have so much that has happened to really get the world stage talking about lots of issues that we don't talk about, and just sort of also creating lots of resistance for everybody, so that it's kind of pushed people to a limit where they like have to say something. I really have felt this year that it's done that to help us learn how to have like meaningful conversations with people with different opinions, and like learn how we can all coexist, having different perspectives and opinions in a peaceful way, because that's not something that we've ever learned how to do. Like we do take it personally, and we also like if someone has an opinion, we also like equate that with their worth and like who they are, rather than like that's just how they think on this topic. And so what you were just talking about there really made me think about that. And I really think that from a place of like self-love of ourselves that allows us to be more accepting of others. And then that also, of course, impacts the way we deal with different opinions, which also include criticism and feedback.
Yeah, oh, I love that so much. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's been so fascinating this year, 2020, with all of the things we've been going through. How have you found it being over in Bali as you've gone through COVID and with the rest of the world being in lockdown? How has your experience been?
So I'm so grateful to have been in Bali during this time. We never really had a lockdown. I guess the laws here are quite different, but it's been normal in the sense that they have to wear masks in some places, but it has overall felt normal still, which I'm very grateful that this is how my year turned out. And it still has been, despite the challenges that came up this year, it's been one of the best years of my life so far. So I think from the very start, when it started to become a whole pandemic, I decided that, you know what, I'm not going to let this, make me have a bad year. I'm still going to be in control of what I create. I'm the creator of my reality. Nothing external can control like how I feel about life, or I'm just going to make the most of it. I had that approach to it from the very beginning. So it turned out to be one of the best years of my life.
Oh, I love that. And I love that you mentioned that word decided, that you decided, you set an intention that this is how the year's going to be. And so it is. That's exactly what you experience.
Yeah. Just being committed to taking responsibility for my life as well. No longer, absolutely not at all blaming external circumstances, but just being responsible for where I am. And yeah, I also seeing the bright side of things, making the most of the resources I already have. So that's how I kind of moved through this year.
Beautiful. And when you say this year's been the best year of your life, you're talking about that because I know a little bit about you, but both personally and professionally, right?
Yes, both aspects.
Yeah, I love that because how we do business is how we do life. So it makes sense that it all happens at once for all areas.
Yes, for sure.
Beautiful. Oh, I didn't mention anything about what you were talking about with burnout, and I just wrote a little note to remind myself. Have you found, because when you're doing something that you love and you love creating, that it's harder to put those boundaries in place?
Yeah. So I love that word boundaries because that's definitely something I've had to work on. But yeah, I could sit there for hours sometimes typing up something, writing my captions because I'm passionate about it, but I also have to take breaks. So yeah, do you relate to that?
I do, absolutely. Yeah, I have had to, this year I've put way more boundaries in place for myself. And I feel like for the first couple of years of my business, I was just really running on adrenaline and I had so much that I wanted to create. And it was so natural and it was really hard. Like I remember some nights, because I'd get a lot of creative energy late in the evening. If I didn't go to sleep before 10, I'd have a huge download at 10:30, and then if I followed that, then I would stay up really, really late, and then I'd want to wake up normally, and then I'd just be tired, and it just wasn't sustainable. Even though that was my creative sort of that was just when it was happening. So I had to start training myself to not let that happen. So going to bed by 10 so that I could have a normal sort of sleeping time and all of that. And then this year, because of COVID, when it first happened in March, because I was over in the US when the state of emergency was declared, so it was all really serious, and it was I couldn't go anywhere. It was complete lockdown, and I was in the US, and it just made me stop. It was the first time I just went, oh my gosh, this is so interesting. And I went into complete observer mode. I was just I felt completely safe. I knew I was going to be okay. Everything was fine for me, but everything around me was completely chaotic. And literally, because I was in the US, in LA, it was like that. And it was just fascinating for me to really observe everything from this like detached manner. And it just made me really review my life and just start taking space, because it felt like the rest of the world had done that too. And I just sort of got like snapped out of my need to create all the time.
Yeah. I think slowing down has been a theme for many people, including myself, just slowing down a bit, like appreciate this present moment more, not hustling as much, still working, but yeah, slowing down a bit more. Yeah, I sense.
Taking more space for yourself.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Okay, Jasmine, so I have one last question, and that is just what is in store for you for 2021? What are you calling in next?
Oh, 2021 is, I am calling in, I guess it's just growing my business even more, developing my relationships even more. I love that you brought this question up actually, because before the start of every year, I love to write some words that will represent what I want to create, call in. I haven't yet done that. I like to do that at the end of December. But it's great. I'm thinking about it right now. And I would say the word thrive comes to mind for some reason. Thriving, that word really stands out. So I think 2021 will bring a bit of that. More new things, new opportunities to try things I haven't done before. Maybe investing, a big investment. I sense that coming. That working with even more women. That's what I can sense right now. Yeah.
That sounds so beautiful, and I absolutely love the word thrive as well. It's something that personally is super meaningful for me as well, and I'm holding space for that intention for you for 2021, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about what your intentions are as well when you get to the end of December and write those down. I love doing my end of year practice as well.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Letitia.
Yeah, my pleasure. So, Jasmine, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast and sharing about your story and your beautiful wisdom and energy with us all. It's been so beautiful for me to have you on, and everybody is just going to absolutely love you. And so how can everybody stay in contact?
Oh, thank you so much, Letitia. It's been a pleasure to be on with you today as well and to connect again. So I'm most active on my Instagram, which is at Jasmine Lipska. Also my YouTube channel, which is Jasmine Lipska, and my podcast, which is the Jasmine Lipska podcast. Yeah, it's very simple, but thank you so much again, Letitia. And you're just an angel in the world. I love your energy, and it's just a pleasure, really, to be here today.
Oh, thank you so much, Jasmine. Right back at you.
Thank you.
So there you go, my beautiful friends. I want to say a big thank you to Jasmine for coming on and sharing her story and wisdom with us all. I was so incredibly inspired after this conversation, and I can't wait to have more conversations just like this. It's just so wonderful to be in that energy of gratitude and abundance. It really is magnetic, and that is something that I really receive and witness and experience from beautiful Jasmine. So thank you, Jasmine, for that wonderful conversation. I adored it. And for anybody who would love to share your thoughts and realizations with Jasmine and I, let us know what your aha moments were. Please take a screenshot of you listening to this episode right now and tag on Instagram stories both Jasmine and I. Let us know what you resonated most with and share your thoughts with us. We'd love to hear from you. You can tag Jasmine at JASLIPSKA, and you can tag me at Letitia Ringe. We can't wait to hear from you all. And I just want to say a big reminder once more that for all of you, if you're craving space at this time of year, please give yourself the gift of taking it. And if you're listening to this at some other time of year that's not December 2020, again, if you're craving space, take that beautiful space for yourself and slow down. Just like Jasmine, that's definitely been a big theme for me this year, generally just slowing down and allowing myself to have the space whenever I need it. I can't tell you how many afternoon naps I've taken, and it's just become a normal part of life, and it is really helping me with my cycle and with really lessening the amount of time that I experience pain during my cycle. So there you go, everybody. I also want to say that Jasmine has shared with us her free morning guided meditation. And so you'll find a link to that in the show notes for this episode. You can find all of the show notes at letitiaringe.com/podcast. And finally, I want to remind you all that if you would love to take yourself through an end of year process, the exact process that I take myself through at the end of every year for my entire life, that I have now shared a Create Your Beautiful Year, the workbook, which is an interactive workbook that will take you through 31 exercises that I take myself through, usually through the month of December, but more often than not, I just cram it into a few days at the end of the year because I really like to do it just before Christmas or just after Christmas and before the new year. And it just makes you feel so good because it's also a beautiful personal development process that I take you through. We reflect on the past year that we've had. We align ourselves to our vision, to our mission, to our why, to what we really want from life based on where we are today. And then from this place of alignment and awareness, we then set intentions, we set goals, like we play with a possible path ahead, knowing that the goal is not to actually implement everything. It's just to see how we could create a year that feels truly beautiful to us. And then of course, it's about living the year, and it's about, really dancing with what you're learning about yourself and what life is sending to you throughout the year. So of course the plans change, but this process allows you to understand what you actually want more of in your life, what you want less of, and what actually feels aligned to you. So everybody, if you'd love to know more about that, just head to letitiaringe.com/workbook and you'll find all of the details there. All right, my beautiful friends, I will see you in our next episode. Bye. Hey, if you're ready to create your very own purpose-driven business too, I invite you to check out my online program, Create Your Beautiful Biz. You'll learn how to create a business that allows you to make your difference and thrive. Just head over to www.letitiaringe.com/CYBB. Let's make creating a business beautiful. I'll see you there.